Space, a podcast where friends get together to talk about all things science fiction. Our main mission is to watch and review the hit 90s TV series Babylon 5. I'm Legendary Black Lion.
I'm Bella Silo.
And I'm Nita the Painter.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday.
Great. We made it. We did it. We got through that. So we're over halfway through the season, and if I thought last episode was a filler episode, this episode was like, oh, my bear. But before we jump into it, how's everybody doing?
Good.
I'm amazing. Just really thankful to be here. I've been having a pretty awesome day. How about you, Nita?
I was away from my phone and kind of blocked. She was just looking at everybody's pictures like, will you give me my... Anyway, I am not okay. I got an attitude, and I've had an attitude for about 36 hours now. So,
Yep. You gave us a hint offline. I understand. I understand. You know what? Let's go ahead and jump into the episode. So we're on episode 14, entitled Grail. I'm sorry, season 1, episode 15, entitled Grail. It is. Now, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. This really ain't that good of an episode. There's a lot of interesting choices made that just made this episode feel disjointed to me. I wanted to know, Mel, you, like, as an author, seeing how these characters come together, like, how do you think this, like, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this episode?
This was basically, let's show how characters react to certain circumstances. And, like, Delenn and her assistant being amazed by the thought of someone having purpose for the sake of purpose kind of explains them a little bit.
Yeah.
I felt like everyone else is seeing where the seeker's purpose is kind of like just for the sake of having a purpose. And she's like, this is awesome. And there's even a scene where I think it was Garibaldi who said, like, you've been hanging out with Delenn too much, because he's like kind of respecting the fact that, I mean, there is a benefit to like actually having purpose, but at the same time, it's like, why do you have a purpose other than the sake of having a purpose? It's better than not having a purpose, and I think that was the whole point of this episode. That and extortion.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to see more. We got to see a little bit more hands-on organized crime on Babylon 5. Plus, another, like, once again, an explanation of why there's crime on Babylon 5.
Yeah. It sounded like narration to me when he delivered that line.
Yeah.
Most of his lines sound like narration. Like, that character is meant to be not just a character, but also a narrator, which kind of makes sense because he is the leader, but at the same time, it's like, you could have actually put it in the story. Like, you clearly could have. It was very easy. You could have centered the story around... You have centered the story around other characters. There were actually literally was no reason for them to put that line in there. We've on several occasions had people who couldn't leave who were like, I'm stuck. I'm in this situation because I can't afford to leave. The situation where Thomas didn't leave was very unique, which also explains why it's called Babylon 5 again. Yeah. No problem. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, you're right. So they take the time. They I guess they take the opportunity to explain why there are 5 Babylon stations, why this is Babylon 5, and I I've always struggled with this. Okay, I understand they're trying to tell this story. They want to have this history, but after, I mean, look, after 4 times trying to build this project and they all go bad, I don't think a 5th one would have happened. Like, but I mean, so the character is Jinxo, right? That's how they use to tell the story of the past Babylon stations. I think he explained like the first 2 were under the same contractor, and maybe the 3rd one. So either the first 2 were under the same contractor, and then the last 3 were under different contractors. Okay, so that could be a situation where, you know, some billionaire was like, hey, you know what? I bet I can make this happen. Or, you know what I mean? Like if I get this government contract, I can make this thing happen. I can get all this money. And so it would, in that case, it would make some real world sense in that, like, someone wants to do a vanity project.
show off.
Right.
And it is a military, it's ran by the government. So
Yeah.
it could be whoever's in office at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Could be the billionaire showing off.
Yeah. And
The government.
and the thing about it is Babylon 5 is only about a year old. It's only been online for about a year, which, I mean, the production of it makes it look like it's been online for much longer, but I guess they don't tell you how long it took to build the stations. So those could have been several year projects to like actually get it put together, get all the systems installed, making sure that the rotation works, hydroponics, staff, and all that stuff. So that could have been several years. So it's not that Babylon 5 is only 1 year old, but it's only been operating for 1 year under the command of Commander Sinclair. And
that means they started after the Mimbari War.
Yeah. Yep. Because the Babylon project was supposed to be like this diplomatic project to make sure that humans don't get murdered out of the galaxy.
Well, and also going by like Jinxo, who has worked on all 5 of them, which like kind of gives a perspective of the time period in which they're trying to do this, because he doesn't look that old.
No, he doesn't.
Be in his 30s at the most, and
he did say he was too young to fight in the Earth Mimbari War, so he had to be fairly young when he started contracting. Can I say something about this actor? So the actor for Jinxo, what's his name? Thomas now at the end of the episode. So the actor is Tom Booker, and I'm sorry, this guy just seemed like there were certain scenes where it looked like he was trying hard just to not laugh. You know what I mean? He was really struggling through those scenes. And I'm also thinking maybe he wasn't that, that good of an actor. Like in general, he didn't, like him and the guy that played who was the gangster? Hold on, I got it right here. Deuce. His name is Deuce. Yeah. Like they just stood out in a bad way. They were so out of place. So real quick, because we have talked about the other actors. So Thomas Booker, he was on a couple of other projects. Neon Genesis Evangelion, the end of Evangelion 1997. That's an anime, right?
Voice actor.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
That's an anime.
Yeah.
One of those screaming teenager animes.
Yeah. Okay.
Screaming teenagers and robots. That's what I call them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty much what they are. Yeah. Nah. He was also part of a project called Kill the Man. It's a movie. It's a romance comedy. Never heard of it. So, and then that's all that's on his credentials. So, I guess he didn't do too much after, Let's just say someone down the road figured out acting wasn't for him. And then the guy that plays Deuce. Okay, so in my notes, I wrote down, like, they made some interesting choices. And this guy's accent was, like, killing me. Got a hillbilly in space. Yeah. So I wanted to know, what did you all think, Nita and Sunday? What do you think so far?
I did not really like the actor that you guys were talking about either. He just, he did seem skittish and scary, which I guess is what they were going for, but it was nothing to write home about. I was more interested in the guy who was like carried around the shepherd's staff, because I recognized him from other
projects,
movies, maybe. Projects is a word.
All right, so that.
And I couldn't put my finger on who he was.
So that actor is David Warner. He has. Let's take a look, because I think he's been on some other things. He actually has quite a bit of a resume. He was in Titanic. He was in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. He was in Tron. He was in The Mouth of Madness. And then he was on a ton. I'm saying, like, he basically, he found his rhythm in voice acting. Teen Titans Go, Mary Poppins Returns. He was in that. The Alienist. He was in that. Yeah, so he has an extensive resume. And so if you don't know exactly where you've seen him, you've seen him. He's just one of those.
He kind of looks like an old Kevin Sorbo. What's his name?
Hercules.
Yeah.
He recently passed away in 2022. So he was, he was up and running up until last year. So, but
well, rest in peace.
The thing is, like, man, they paired him up with Tom, and their acting was just night and day. You know what I mean? Like, some characters, some actors just stand out, and it's like, and I mean, not in a good way. They stand out because it seems like, man, there's something about this guy that's out of place, and it's just that they just can't find. They just can't find the thing that puts them into the character. You know what I mean? So anyway, but that I know for me, that took me out, because there were certain scenes where it looked like he was smiling and laughing. I'm like, is that just what your face does, or are you doing that? Yeah. Yeah. And it was even more, it stood out even more when he was in the room with Londo. Londo is over there just still in the scene, and there's this guy just moping around in the background. I'm like, yeah, there's something wrong. So what did y'all notice the breadcrumbs that were kind of sprinkled around?
Which one?
Don't get me to telling the story.
Okay.
All I noticed is that I was completely duped and fooled with the brain sucking creature situation that was going on, but I think I might be jumping ahead on that.
No, that's fine. Go ahead. what? Tell us what. What did you think of that part?
When the actor that was being like coerced, they basically like allowed him to see this alien creature suck the memories out of a woman's mind, and so she was borderline a vegetable.
Yeah,
but they were going to be able to like reteach her how to be a person, but it was going to be very challenging. And she was supposed to testify against the bad guy, and they showed that one of the ambassadors, the one that doesn't talk and has like some strange light inside of his body, and nobody's ever seen what he looks like before.
Ambassador Kosh, yes.
Yes, that he is the one that has sucked the memory out of this woman, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's a bad guy. No, like he's already sus. Like, and now he's sucking people's memories. And for Davion, for you not to like this episode, I just kind of disagree, and I don't think I understand the difference between the filler episode and what's not, because I was like really shocked, and I'm like, oh my goodness. This guy is really a bad guy, and now there's no getting around it.
What are your thoughts, Nita?
I tapped the screen too many times.
Say that again. Okay. No problem. Go ahead.
I was in and out a lot, and there was the somebody was like something, or I'm gonna feed your friend to the whoever, and I was like, oh shit. And then that's like all I remember. I was not very present during this viewing.
No worries. I don't blame you. It's it's not that good of an episode. It's like I said, it's a filler episode. And it seems like several story ideas that were kind of like left on the cutting room floor that were for like, hey, this will be a good episode. We got to fill up 22 somehow. And what the thing that they did. So when I talk about the breadcrumbs, they sprinkled in a couple of things. The history of the Babylon stations. When Jinxo explains what happened to Babylon 4, it like, doesn't it strike you as weird as in this universe, a whole station just disappears and people are like, yeah, let's build another one. Like it doesn't get sabotaged like the other ones. It doesn't explode. He said it just kind of wrinkled and disappeared. And it's just like, that's a big deal.
It's not like, oh, long ago we had this, let's try it again. It's like, it's within 10 years that they have 5 stations. I'm like, why do y'all?
Right. Well, I mean, I guess if you're trying to colonize space, you literally trying to colonize space. Put up a bunch of space stations, but yeah, so, and I'm pointing that out as a breadcrumb because it does come back later. It plays a big part. And then that's the only teaser I'm going to give. The other thing is the Minbari. So Delenn and Lanier are being extra dorky this episode. Oh my God. So, and this is definitely a nerd topic, like the Holy Grail. We're going to put the search for the Holy Grail in space. And I'm thinking, how many years after Indiana Jones is this? This is a few years, right? Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Then, yeah, someone look that up because
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, but it makes me think like there had to be a reason for them to add that story.
Oh, kind of like they did the Kung Fu.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like that. Like it was fresh. Somebody went and saw a movie the night before their writing session. They're like, you know, it'd be kind of cool. Is that? Oh, they also had an Ancient Aliens reference in there too, with one of the Greys at the court and he's being sued for damages for abducting this guy's ancestor, and and the guy being basically a laughingstock of the town because nobody believed that he was abducted. Let me tell you the truth.
Damages.
Yeah, for damages. Let me tell you the truth. That episode, which like this episode, as bad as it is what got me into watching Babylon 5 because of that one scene. It was so dumb. It's so dumb.
I need reparations. Wow.
But you have to think, like at the time, like in the 90s, everybody was trying to figure out how to put like aliens into their TV shows. But unsolved mysteries, and TV shows like that. There was The Outer Limits. They always talked about aliens, and then of course you had X-Files out there. And alien abductions were big in the news at the time too. And so we were interested. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch this. This seems kind of cool.
That's kind of funny because anytime there's like a horrible event going on in the world that's actually getting news coverage, all of a sudden there's aliens. Like recently, Mexico found those aliens.
Those alien corpses.
There's people dying on the other side of the world, but we found some aliens. Come look.
Yep.
You asked Indiana Jones. The first one came out in 81. The second one came out 84. Then 89. And then the next one didn't come out till 2008.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Indiana Jones.
No.
What am I looking for?
No. So there was only 4 and there was only 3 Indiana Jones movies. There was only 3, the great 3 that we have good memories of. I didn't hear that. Okay. Wow, 2008 is when that horrible movie came out.
I haven't seen any of the new ones.
Yeah. Okay. So, the Minbari, they coerce Commander Sinclair into having this formal greeting and meeting with Aldous Gajic, right? The J is okay. And then when he goes to meet him, Gajic is like, oh shoot, I didn't know y'all were gonna be here. I was just trying to meet with the Minbari. I didn't need any pageantry. And so this is a case where the Minbari make a big deal out of a nothing thing, and they make it everybody else's problem. That is gonna
like this, so you need to too.
Yeah. And then like their whole interaction with him is just so weird. Honestly, they're out of character. Delenn and Lanier, they seem much more lighter. They're more on the comedy side of things. And she's like indulging this guy. She's like, hey, you're searching for something. You're a truth seeker. I guess they were trying to get down to the whole like, okay, this is the religious cast. And so they are very interested in the spiritual journeys and maybe the spirituality of other beings, maybe. So that's one way to look at it.
It felt very superficial to me.
Yeah.
Because of the way they explain, like, we appreciate this because we're the religious cast, but he's seeking something that his culture knows don't exist. For the sake of seeking it. And they're like, he's seeking though. And that's the thing that we need to appreciate, which is, it's kind of weird because normally, and that's why I feel like it's a different writer on this. Like the creator didn't help write this episode, I don't think. That's just my opinion. But usually the metaphors are in the science fiction of it. but there was hardly any science fiction in this. It's just like a creature eating people. That's the biggest science fiction thing we had in this. So the idea of this being the way another culture sees things was social studies, social science fiction,
Yeah.
and not like hard science fiction. That's my best way of explaining that. But it sounds weird when you do it as a philosophy, especially when you take a character so far off from their a character outside of their character to do it.
Yeah.
Which is, someone didn't read their series Bible when they wrote this.
Yeah,
or they didn't have enough information in the series Bible when they wrote it.
Possibly. Well, I guarantee you they were like, how are we going to fill up this episode order? Because like the things that are important are the history of the other Babylon stations. There is consistency with Delenn. She's very quick, like, hey, you know what? Let's just lie to the warrior cast. They're, they'll misunderstand this anyway, so we just won't tell them about it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. That she was saying the only time that the two of them agreed was, when terrible things happen. I'm like, oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, to throw that in there in the story where they talk about the Babylon station blowing up so many times, especially since we know that they're the ones who chose Sinclair.
Yeah.
It's suspicious.
And we'll also highlight Delenn is talking about keeping secrets again. Let's recap. She has a standing order to murder Commander Sinclair. and Garibaldi and Sinclair are investigating Delenn. That is still happening. So this episode is weird.
Yeah. There's a big spoiler in one of my galactic teas that I did on Delenn.
Yes.
Makes it even deeper. Like
yeah. If you're talking about what I know, yes, it is deep. Like it. So I know we're putting all these teasers in there, but this episode just wasn't that interesting. But if you watch season 1, knowing what we know about Delenn, it makes it that much like crazier. So much crazier. Like the fact that she's even on the station. It's like, geez. And then she spends so much time with Kosh. Anyway.
Who also got his secrets.
Yeah. Kosh.
Their
Yeah.
secrets. You don't know if they got genders or not. So.
Right. Yeah. Vorlons. So Londo's in this episode. In fact, I think the only alien main characters are.
I thought was interesting that what's the name didn't get questioned by Thomas.
Yeah, Jakar.
They ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
They had all their stuff stolen. They still trying to.
See, and when you want to assume that they don't, they the ones who's sitting on that shit.
I mean, on the one, I agree with Mel. The Narn don't really have anything. Everything they had was taken from them 100 years ago by the Centauri. But you might be right, Sunday. They
real as the actual cup. That's somebody's kitchen.
It's probably sitting in Jakar's quarters as we speak. He's drinking from it while he's trying to eat a pig's head.
Right.
But the little bit of world building with the Centauri, which is nothing, right? We just hear about the Nakaline feeder. I like what they did with Veer, and they show like he does not function as a conventional Centauri. He gets yelled at by basically doing all of this work for free, and it annoys Londo. And I thought that was some decent character development. In fact, his character starts to come out more from this episode forward. But I think the actor, he's gotten his rhythm. Veer, and that's Steven first. Veer is like this on edge, high anxiety assistant character. He's a comedy character, but he has some. He does have some great moments throughout the series. I think, man, honestly, everything really picks up in. I think the finale of season 1 and the beginning of season 2. Like we got introed some important characters. We got introed some important characters this season that are, you know, the pieces are being placed on the board for everything that's going to happen. So there's that. There was something on here that I just didn't know. And I was like, you know what, let me look that up. Hold on one second. So it is the ombuds. Sorry. Have y'all heard of that before?
No.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So who is it? Deuce is talking about the ombuds, and he's like, yeah, you're going to open your mouth to the ombuds, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, what is that word, ombuds? Basically, that judge, he's an ombud. But what it is a, if I can pull this up. Hold on, I'm going to just have to edit this part. So an ombudsman is a person who investigates, reports on, and helps settle complaints. They provide like safety and security for people who want to report, like when things are going wrong. They're usually affiliated with an organization or a business. They serve as an advocate for patients, consumers, employees. And so they use the ombuds as kind of like a judicial arm on the station. So that judge, he's an ombud, and he's the one when he called that lady up to testify. You know, he was, I would say, kind of sort of functioning in that job. I'm gonna tell you, he sucks at his job though, because it seems like everybody knew who she was. Deuce went and found her, had her brain wiped, and he, you know, got away with all that stuff scot-free. He was doing racketeering. Yeah, that protection racket.
Usually, you don't let that information come out. Like, how do you know? How does he know?
Right.
Was he just hacking things?
Right. And then you never see that judge again. Like, my headcanon is they realize, like, this dude sucks. We just need to get rid of him. So they had him reassigned. Yeah, Ombuds Wellington. Dude was horrible. And then freaking Aldous sacrificed his life. Oh, wait. This is an opportunity for or go ahead.
No, you go ahead. An opportunity for what?
For Sinclair to put his life in danger to have a shootout.
Oh, jeez. I was still thinking about when we were talking about the judge, like what kind of pull Thomas had to just be like, excuse me, can I approach the bench? Be like, nigga, who is you?
Right.
And just like be randomly in the middle of a trial wanting to come and talk to the judge.
Right.
And then it was almost like he had some kind of persuasive ability over the people that he's talking to, how he got Delenn and them to cooperate so easily. And he didn't speak to Londo, but he was speaking to the Londo's minions. And all to like offer him the assistance. And then he had that pull over Ambassador Kosh. It was just like, this dude is under my protection. And like they never really address how he is coercing, or maybe that's not the right word, but influencing everybody that he was coming into contact with. Like, hell, maybe he was the Grail.
That is an interesting observation. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like
I like it.
That was what I was saying about the philosophy of the story being a social construct and not a science, a fiction of science.
Right.
So his being able, like even what's his name? When he first came in, and the guy was like, he just has the look. We don't know who he is, but I know that's him because he has the look. There was supposed to be something about him that just reads, "You are the holy one that I must respect," and for no reason at all.
He is walking around with a big stick.
That should get you
security should have confiscated that like immediately, right?
Use it as a weapon.
Yeah, he beats the crap out of those guys. Yep. So basically, Sunday, what you're saying is Aldous is a Jedi.
Yeah.
So
his purpose is the Force.
That's what it sounded like you were saying. But now that you point that out, I'm like, you know what? Everybody did just cooperate with him easily, and he got the Nakaline feeder to come out of the thing, the encounter suit of Kosh, which there's a lot of questions because like how could they get one?
They said it was fabricated.
It was fabricated.
It wasn't a real one. Yeah, it was someone just made a cosplay for him.
Okay, that makes sense because I was gonna be like, man, I don't think the Vorlons leave their technologies hanging around. Okay,
yeah, that was Michael's explanation.
Okay, and then he was able to get the Nakaline feeder to come out, which I will say the CG was not the worst. It was decent. Like even now looking at it, it was like, hey, that's actually pretty good. It's better than when they made it's better than when they made that guy God. Remember the telepath
became
he just became a big like white figure in space. I don't know. So I have to point this out. Garibaldi was extremely annoying this episode. He was full cop mode. He was full bastard cop mode. He basically throughout the episode he says two things that really like rub me the wrong way. One, when he busts Jinxo for pickpocketing, and he's like all over this dude, right? And Jinxo is like trying to explain, like, hey, whatever, but it's whatever. They've encountered each other before, so of course Garibaldi's going to catch him pickpocketing. The other thing that he says is like, let me and my team clean out down below. We'll get rid of 90% of the crime. Mm-hmm. And then Sinclair's like, what are you going to do? Shoot him out the airlock? And he goes, don't tempt me. And it's like, so this dude has an itchy trigger finger for the station that he works on. And then we get the speech from the compassionate commander about how people come there looking to, fulfill a dream for jobs. They get stuck because it doesn't happen. And they can't afford to leave. And yeah, that sucks. But Garibaldi does not care. He does not care. He wants to round everybody up and ship them off. So full bastard cop mode, Garibaldi. And if we recap, he's not a friend of the working class. He's just ready to bust people's heads no matter what.
Yeah, I hated that. To think that he could go to the down below or downstairs or wherever that's called, and you just give me the opportunity to take all my cop friends down here and just round everybody up. Like, sir, there's no way that everybody down there is a criminal. And
Mhm.
it just, yeah, I did not like that. And I didn't think about it again until you just brought it up, but that was very disturbing to think that without like any just cause you're just gonna like round people up and what throw them in jail just for existing in close proximity to some criminals.
Yeah.
And especially since he was just in that predicament not that long ago.
Right.
Like, you could have a little bit of empathy. I mean, he didn't have any empathy when he was down there getting drunk.
Nope. I don't think this is a spoiler, but that's just Garibaldi's character. He is not an empathetic person at all. He's not an empathetic human being at all. And yeah, he's gonna be an annoying character coming up. He does some really cool stuff though. But yeah, he like I said, he's full bastard cop in this episode, maniac cop. If anybody understands that reference and how funny it is that I'm saying it on this show, give yourself 2 points. And now to explain the joke. Claudia Christensen plays in the movie series Maniac Cop. It is a B-level horror series. Yeah. All right. Now that I've thoroughly brought this whole episode to a halt, there are some quotes here. So I'm looking at the Babylon 5 fandom, the Babylon Project, and some of the quotes that y'all brought up, where Lanier and Delenn are talking. There are 2 casts of the Minbari, the warrior caste and the religious caste. The warrior caste would not understand. It is not their way. So we will not tell them and spare them the confusion, which that is so wild that she has such a low perspective of her own people. And then Aldous asks, like, these 2 sides of your culture, do they ever agree on anything? And Delenn answers, yes. And when they do, it's a terrible thing, a terrible power, as recent events have shown us. Let us hope it never again happens in our lifetime. So she's throwing out some breadcrumbs about like the past history of the Minbari, which I don't think this is a spoiler, is the warrior class and the religious class or caste, sorry. The warrior caste and the religious caste both did agree to go to war with the humans. Yeah. So there's that. And that's her kind of roundabout way to admitting to war crimes. So,
especially since she's on the Great Council, she had to approve it.
Mm-hmm. But hold on, slow down.
Oh, were we not supposed to know that yet? Even though it's kind of obvious.
I mean, it's obvious. We know it, but just slow down. I don't want to get too far ahead. Yeah, so that's the episode. Which means this could be a short episode for us. Any other thoughts before we get along here?
I think it was weird to write a whole story on like purpose and having purpose and your perspective on purpose. And even with the mind wipe, like without your knowledge of yourself and your experiences in life, you can't do anything. You are a vegetable. And Thomas, he was kind of living without a life until he found a purpose. As ridiculous as it was, at least it was a purpose. Even though not killing the whole station is a purpose.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the positive purpose, because like the Seeker went and told him that that's not the true perspective of what happened to you. You're lucky. You're not a jinx. A curse. Well, that's what it was. Yeah. It was more of a philosophy thing than normal.
I guess
mix enough sci-fi with it.
I guess the way you can look at it too is like superstition is involved as well. So Jinxo, he had the superstition that he was the curse. Aldous, he's searching for the Holy Grail, which like you can look at that as also like a superstitious belief. And they have like they each have purpose that kind of locks them into a particular path. And then they find each other, and Aldous dies, and he's like, "Okay, I'm done with this." And then Jinxo is like set free from the station. Which, like I said, that's an interesting way to look at it. He trades one superstition for another, you could say. But the way that the Minbari kind of reverence the whole, enterprise or the whole thing, they don't look at it as like something you're beholden to. They look at it as something to be honored, which I mean, we do know a bit about some of the Minbari superstitions, which, and again, we'll learn a little bit more in the future. But
I mean, they kind of did the same thing with the poet.
Yes.
But she's such an important person because she writes poetry. It's the religious class that feels like philosophy and ideas are something to uphold, which she literally says. But,
yeah.
But it's so personified in her in her actions. Whereas, like, it's normal for our culture, especially in the 90s, to say that stupid stuff. That's a hobby. That you don't make that your life. But for them, when you make it your life, it's important versus like American or human culture where having money is as important as has the importance that they see creativity and wonder. Which is cool.
That's an interesting perspective because that reminds me of some of these debates that I watched. I don't recommend anyone to watch debates between atheists and apologists because they're not very good. But there's always this argument of like, if humans lose their religion, then what will happen to humanity, right? And I'm wondering if this is also part of the discussion that the writers are having. Like, for Aldous, like his search is immediately dismissed and ridiculed by Sinclair. He's like, well, we don't really think this is a real thing, you know? But yeah, apparently it gives Aldous like these Jedi powers and fighting abilities, which to me, that means he's traveled and searched for a long time. And so he's picked up some good persuasive skills and some fight skills. The story of his conversion was pretty like tragic. He said he had a job where his whole life was all about numbers, but the numbers never added up. And there was an accident where his wife and daughter died, but he woke up with just a few bruises, and he was like, something ain't right. He started his search. I guess he came like, so I kind of phased out on this part. Let me see if I can find it, because
isn't that well done?
It wasn't, because it's like I almost died.
Some stuff happened. I met this dude. Now I'm doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. And which I want to know. Wonder what's up with that guy. Like, anyway. So then he meets Jinxo. And Jinxo, he's like his whole he's impressed not by why Aldous is doing it, but how Aldous is carrying himself. He's demonstrating like all these interesting characteristics of a human being that Jinxo is just kind of like enamored with. And then when Aldous dies, he's like, you know what? I'll do it. I'll continue to search. And then they do this whole ceremony as he's dying, which screw that.
So how does Sinclair know what to say?
Right. Yeah. Well, what it was, so it wasn't like, it's not like a ceremony of, yeah. What it was basically his last will and testament. And so he had Sinclair witness it, which, I mean, Sinclair didn't look happy to be watching a guy die, by the way. He looked like he'd rather be somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, he's like, yeah, you can have all my stuff, which means he'll be able to see where he went, the people he spoke to, stuff he learned. So that's kind of cool, I guess. He's passed that down. He has a purpose passed on to him along with the history.
In a way, he healed him, and that was the reason why he was looking for the Grail. And that's something, what he was looking for in the Grail is what he did with his life without it. Yeah. It's kind of just an excuse to go around helping people and talking to people. Like, you could have just been a journalist.
Right.
Really.
Well, then that makes me wonder what his job was. Like, you know, what did he do that had to deal with numbers? Where was he? An
accountant?
Was he? He was either an accountant or some sort of like military analyst. Maybe a functional analyst for the military, and the numbers didn't add up because it's like these numbers are people that we're killing or dying. You know, I don't know. I'm just like we're full head canon right now. Where this is all speculation. Who knows? Right. Maybe we're putting more thought into this than the writer. So that's Grail. Again, a filler episode with some little breadcrumbs thrown into it. Yeah, and what I should have done was look ahead to see what the next episode looks like. The next one is Eyes, but I don't remember what it was all about. So we'll I guess we'll find out next week. Find out next time. Any final thoughts? Any critiques? Any complaints?
I enjoyed the episode. Filler or not, thank you very much.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. Okay. It definitely was filler. I'm only saying that I don't enjoy it now because I know what the bigger story is. And this episode, like, not all of it plays into the bigger story. It's more of like a Monster of the Week type episode. So, like, if you enjoyed it, that's not a problem. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
They put a lot in it, even though it's not a part of the main story.
Yeah.
So there's still like so much more that we can talk about when it comes to the story, but it's not a part of this particular little story. There's one episode, but not connecting it to anything else that really happens other than our understanding of the characters, which is pretty much a filler episode. But they do it well. It's not like I could have done without this.
Yeah. I feel bad because we barely talked about Ivanova. Her biggest moments were at the end of the episode where Jinxo was leaving and the station didn't blow up, but she's being herself. Her character is consistent, pessimistic, expecting the worst. You know, good old faithful Ivanova.
She just kept going, boom.
Right. No boom today. Always boom tomorrow. Like, yeah. Cool. Well, so that's this episode of Voices of Hyperspace. Granted, when this episode releases, it'll be several weeks after we've done our first side mission. And hopefully we have done several since. So be looking out for those. I think the schedule for side missions is going to be Fridays. That felt pretty good to release. It's like, just imagine, you get like an extra little something fun to listen to before the week is over. Like, it frustrates me when I'm listening to podcasts and I don't have anything like for the weekend, So there you have it. And you're welcome. You all have any cool projects coming up? Anything you would like to share?
I'm not doing anything extra than what I've been doing.
Nice. Fantastic. As of this recording, we're coming up on holiday season part 2. It's December. So we have plenty of episodes stacked. So we could probably, if needed, take a break. A week of Christmas and a week after. We'll have episodes drop then, and then we can resume recording in the new year. Yeah, we can talk about that off the air. Well, this was another episode of Voices in Hyperspace. You can follow us on YouTube, TikTok, and you can find us on all of your podcast platforms. Just remember, at the beginning of the year, Google Podcasts will switch over to YouTube Music, and we'll probably post some stuff to help us with that transition. Other than that, just find us, have fun, like, follow, share, leave comments, anything. Let's keep the conversation going over on our Facebook page. Facebook group, Voices of Hyperspace. Captain Mel is the administrator. And y'all got to play nice over there, y'all. Yeah, because she will drop that band hammer.
The posts have to be approved, but please send in whatever posts you want that are sci-fi.
Yes, sci-fi related.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sci-fi related. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You can do some fantasy, that's okay.
Sci-fi fantasy, yeah. Fun stuff. Like, don't be advertising your stuff. Don't be advertising like your supplement business. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Thank you for joining us. I'm Legendary Black Lion.
I'm Mel Asylum.
Bye, y'all. It's Sunday.
I see. And we
depends on she's, having a trying day.
Understood. Well, we will sign off here and catch y'all next time.